Welcome to a demo of TeamsHub by Cyclotron. TeamsHub is a Microsoft 365 governance, security, and automation tool with some adoption elements built into it. A little background on Cyclotron: we are a Microsoft partner headquartered in San Francisco in the Bay Area with full US national coverage. Some of our accolades include #1 MS US partner for Teams platform adoption, #2 US partner for messaging and meetings, and #5 US partner for Teams voice and meeting adoption. In addition to TeamsHub, we provide various services surrounding M365, so if interested, you can always reach out to us on the Cyclotron website. As mentioned previously, TeamsHub is going to be a Microsoft 365 administration tool focusing on governance, security, and automation of those elements, as well as an adoption portal, which we'll take a look at later in this demo. Some of our top investments include a unified information architecture to better understand and group together related teams and sites, and we'll showcase what that looks like, external access management, including guest management, approvals, and also an ability to be able to review externally shared files from teams and sites, the provisioning of automation, as well as the ability to implement things like governance, naming conventions, and some other items related to provisioning of teams in that request and provisioning process. We also include a backup and restore function for SharePoint sites, Teams, and OneDrive accounts. With that said, let's take a look at a demo of TeamsHub. You'll notice we currently have our Teams client open in my web browser, and on the left-hand rail, I have the TeamsHub app pinned to my navigation bar. What does an end user have available to them in this particular TeamsHub app? So you'll notice we initially land into a dashboard for TeamsHub, which can be completely customized, including the imagery, the branding, the descriptions, as well as all of these modules that appear down below. Here you'll notice I'll be able to start and submit a request by clicking on the Create a Request button, and it'll walk me through 3 different steps. First of all, allowing me to choose a workspace from one of these options, including Teams, SharePoint, or Yammer Communities. Here I will select Teams as an example. Next, it'll ask me to select a team or a site type. As an administrator, this will give me an opportunity to create individual site types based on departments, projects, or any other specific needs your organization might have. This will also give us an opportunity to instill governance settings, naming conventions, certain collaboration restrictions and settings per individual team type at the creation stage. Here I'll select private team as an example, and you'll notice I'll be able to see this request form. Here I can enter in my team name, and I will get some previews regarding my team name and what that will look like, the mail nickname, the associated SharePoint website, and I will need to fill out all of the required fields as were marked by my admins. Here in this case, you'll even see that I will have a minimum 2 owner quota for the owners that I enter in, and I will need to select a business unit. Depending on which business unit I select, you'll notice I can switch from IT to HR, and the naming conventions, as well as the URLs and associated pieces of my team, will automatically be updated based on what my admins configure for me in the back end. Otherwise, admins can also include any other types of fields that might be important for them to gather for my team or site requesters, and once I enter in all this relevant information, I can submit my request. Once I do so, I'll be able to see all of my past requests in the My Request section here at the bottom right, and all of my past requests that I've submitted will be shown here for me. I'll also be able to see my past approval history if needed. Heading on back to the dashboard, we can click into one of my workload screens. For example, I can click into My Teams, and you'll notice I will get a much improved interface of all of the teams that I have access to across Microsoft Teams. They will be sectioned off into 4 different sections, the first one being comprised of any favorite teams I favorite. You'll notice there's a favorite column here, and I can choose to favorite any team, such as this accounting and finance team, and it will show up at the top of the respective section. I can collapse that down and see any teams where I am a regular member, where I am an owner, so any owners of teams will be happy to see this particular section, and lastly, any archived teams that were archived by either me, automatically by TeamsHub, or by an admin. A couple of more features we can see here. You'll notice I get a high-level overview of some information for my teams here. I can also click on the gear icon at the top right to highlight and showcase some more columns if I want more information about my teams. Otherwise, I can click on the little ellipses button on the right-hand side of a team to open up some more additional options. This includes things like the team description, the email, as well as some other components related to managing a team, as well as the backend SharePoint site. This will give us quick access to any of these particular items without having to go back to the SharePoint site, a particular admin center, just consolidation of some useful features all in one panel for us. Otherwise, on the top right, we can see some tags that have been assigned to this particular team. These are specific to TeamsHub, so tagging and hubbing of teams is available. I'll showcase that feature later. We can also review the membership of a team and make updates there as needed. And lastly, a feature called external files tracking, which I will showcase later on in this demo as well. Up at the top right, we have an ability to join a team using the Join a Team button. This will show us any public as well as private teams in our environment. That will give at least users the opportunity to see that private teams exist, and they will still need to request to join that particular private team. As you know, out of the box, private teams are completely hidden from users, so this will help out with discoverability of certain teams. We also have the ability to request a guest using the button here up at the top right. This will be essentially one extra stage for a user to request a guest or an entire external domain to be approved by an admin before that guest can be added as a guest to one of the teams that that user owns. So just one extra step for security to make sure that the appropriate users and guests that come in from externally get approved by your administrators. I'll speak to manage hubs here in a little bit. Otherwise, this create a team button will walk you through that same process that we saw earlier on, the ability to choose a category or workspace, a team type or site type, and lastly that request form. Let's take a look here at the button up at the top left here. This will be our menu button. You'll notice we can see some of our workload as well as the request buttons here as we saw earlier on. We can also access this My Hubs functionality. Hubs are created for me by an administrator, and these are essentially a combination of relevant teams and sites based on a particular keyword or a tag that is associated to those particular items. In this case, you'll notice I can click into a department hub, or perhaps as a new hire, I can click into this new hire hub and see what teams or sites might be relevant to me as a new hire to review. This is going to be based on your existing permissions, so this means that when you jump into a hub, you will only see teams where you are an owner or a member. As I mentioned, we can view any admin created hubs, so these are the organizational hubs seen by all users in my organization, but I can also create personal hubs as seen by these little two hubs at the bottom of this list. Personal hubs can be created using the Manage Hubs button up at the top right, and I can start creating hubs here by simply entering a name, search criteria, and which workloads I want to search across. Once that's done, I can review my personal hubs just like I was able to see my organizational hubs from this list. The next feature on this list is going to be called External File Sharing under the Document Tracking section, and what this will allow me to do as either an end user or an admin is to be able to see a security trimmed list of any teams or sites where I am externally sharing files. In this case, I'm externally sharing files from this admissions office team, and I can quickly track or manage where that file has been shared. Here, if I select the track button, you'll notice I'll be able to see where this file has been accessed, how many views and edits it has had, the days since last activity, and I can view this in a list, timeline, or a map view. I can go back to the external file sharing page, and if I decided that this particular file should not be externally shared, I can select the Manage button, view who has shared this file, and revoke access to it immediately. Once again, this is available for end users and also admins in the admin panel. Heading on back to the dashboard, as I mentioned, this particular dashboard can be completely customized, so if needed, we can add or customize any of these particular buttons to hide or remove any of these panels, or add additional ones such as the Zendesk button, or maybe it's one to ServiceNow, or any other relevant websites that you might want to link out to. The same experience that we saw for the My Teams button will be consistent across the SharePoint, Planner, and Yammer buttons, so not much to mention there. The other thing I want to mention is going to be this Adopt tab up at the top left. This is going to be an adoption portal that is bundled in alongside with TeamsHub, which will provide helpful articles surrounding M365, Teams, and some of the other tools that are available in M365, as you can see here. Alongside helpful articles that you can click into, you can also view various videos that have been provided by Microsoft, some learning videos surrounding those tools, as well as videos that we've curated ourselves. So you can take a look at those there and view some of those informational videos if needed. Here I have switched over to the TeamsHub Admin Center. One thing to note is that TeamsHub is deployed on your Azure environment, meaning that it will not require any remote admin access at any time, nor will it send over any logging information automatically to Cyclotron at any point. This will also mean that TeamsHub will automatically pick up any administrators in your environment so that global Teams and SharePoint admins will automatically have access to the TeamsHub Admin Center based on their existing roles. Here we initially land into the dashboard screen, which will give us some high-level information about our teams in our environment, and we can also take a look at SharePoint and Yammer communities from this dashboard as well. Otherwise, you'll notice that the Admin Center has been modeled similarly to the other admin centers you might be working with for familiarity's sake, especially for new admins who jump into the Admin Center, so that way they can kind of find everything that they might be looking for. Here at the gear icon up at the top right, we can access things like the access management to see which admins have which particular roles and capabilities, the ability to make changes on some of the governance settings on a tenant level, being able to set up lifecycle management policies across the entire organization for Teams, SharePoint sites, and Yammer communities, as well as being able to manage the site provisioning process, which we'll click into in just a moment. As I mentioned, tags and hubs, the ability to group together related sites and teams, are a TeamsHub specific feature, and admins can manage these features from these particular items or panels. Alright, let's click into the site provision dropdown here on the left hand side of my screen, and here you'll notice I can click into the request form settings and completely customize my request form based on the categories that I want to include, the site types that I want to create, and you'll notice I can create my additional site types, and with this little ellipses button on the right hand side, I will be able to control individual options for each individual site type, giving me a lot of granularity as to which governance settings I want to instill in each type template. Things such as auto approval, being able to add site collection admins or site type owners at creation, as well as tags and sensitivity labels. We can also control such things such as external collaboration settings and restrictions on a team or a site type level. We also have the ability to leverage TeamsHub templates, which are a little bit more advanced than regular Teams or SharePoint templates, giving us the ability to not only templatize channels, apps, and tabs, but also the membership of a team, the team settings, as well as all the backend SharePoint pieces, including the files that might be stored in a team or site template. So a lot of flexibility with the templating across TeamsHub. Here under the user request button, we'll be able to see all the user requests that have been submitted by our requesters. As an admin, I can approve or reject requests from this interface, emails that get sent out from TeamsHub, or additionally, I can jump into the TeamsHub app, go into the My Request section, and also enable the Approve Review, giving admins a lot of flexibility as to where they manage incoming requests. As you can see, there are a lot of features to cover with you folks, so if you would like a further demo, please reach out to us at our website. The website is teamshub.io. As you can see here in my browser window, you'll be able to request a demo using the button up at the top right. Otherwise, you can learn more about TeamsHub or Cyclotron from this website and reach out to us if you have any additional questions. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for watching.